Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here with me. I thought I haven't been on for a tarot video in a while, and I just thought I would come on and do a reading and just share a little bit about how I'm feeling about a deck that I've already reviewed here, but I've been using it more and more. In fact, I reach for it so often that I actually switched out my Rider-Waite deck and put it into my favorite tarot bag. And that's saying a lot because I use different decks for different reasons, and I love using different decks, but usually I'm constantly reaching for one or the other, and usually I'm reaching for my Rider-Waite Smith, but I've been using this deck a lot. And so I wanted to share it with you again and do a reading and just kind of talk about why. So this is the Fifth Spirit Tarot, and I actually put the guidebook in with the deck because I just love it so much. And I am not a guidebook person. I'm a really intuitive reader. I don't put much faith in traditional meanings. For me, this is self-reflection and conversing with my psyche. And traditional meanings are fun, and I've studied them and I know them and all of that, but I don't rely on them, and they don't really mean that much to me. I'm not a purist that way in any way, shape, or form. So this guidebook is just awesome. I don't know what else to say. It's just so real and practical and grounded in the real world and in real life the way I see it. There's a magical feeling about it because I see the world through a very magical lens. I always have. When I take photographs of the landscape that I love, I usually alter it to make it fit how I see it. I see sparkles, right? I just do. And that, it's available in this, but this is so grounded. So the difference is, for instance, another beautiful deck that I really, really love, that I got recently is this Ocean Dreams Oracle by Danielle Noel. It's so beautiful. It appeals to my sense of aesthetics, and the art is just so gorgeous. The imagery, everything about it is just lovely. But this feels a little bit it doesn't feel as real to me anymore. I don't know how to explain it. I love it. And I've reached for it a couple times over the past few weeks. But to be honest with you, after I've done some journal writing and stuff on the reading, I've reached for this to clarify. This just feels like what I need right now. It's comfortable, and it feels like my favorite old jeans and sweatshirt and comfy socks, right? And my favorite tea mug and my favorite chair. That's how it feels. It feels grounded and real and present and in my life. This is a little bit more out there, and sometimes it's wonderful to imagine and journey to other realms. But right now, this is just sort of what I need. And I'll tell you, the world right now is a really tough place for compassionate people and empathic people. There's so much suffering right now from right near where I live to across the world. It's like every day we hear of more tragedy and suffering, and it can be really overwhelming for someone who feels things strongly. And so it becomes more important than ever, because I'm not the kind of person who would ever just block it all out and be in la la land and not aware of the suffering. I believe that we need to be aware, and we need to hold it, um, and to work even harder at showing up in the world in the best way we can, because I believe in collective energy. And so, I believe that the best thing we could possibly do to help the bigger picture is to take exquisite care of what is right in front of us, right? That's my belief. So it has been really, really helpful for me more than ever to have grounded, everyday, practical things that keep me present and in reality, and to be able to acknowledge truth, and to still be able to seek the beauty, and to acknowledge both beauty and suffering in the same place, right? And this just feels more helpful to me right now. My art practice is incredibly helpful to me right now. Just to show up and to paint for a little bit of time every day, even amongst a really busy day, has been so valuable to me. To show up in my sketchbook, which has become, usually when things get a little bit complicated emotionally for me, my work becomes simpler. There more simplicity. And so my sketchbook, over the past so many weeks, has become really simple. I mean, it's just really simple. It's mark making and simple shapes, and it's beautiful to me. But this is the kind of work that it's meditative work. I'm not even thinking. I'm making marks, and I'm focusing on my breath and being present, right? And so, this to me is equated to, it's all very, very simple. Very, very, very simple. And this has all been over the past few weeks, right? See how simple? This is what grounds me. So I could go on and on. So I think that's why this deck is really speaking to me. My cat sounds like she's trying to get into a locked room, but she'll figure it out. Hopefully you can't hear that. She's banging a door. So the Fifth Spirit Tarot is, as I think I've done a whole review on this deck, but it's by Charlie Claire Burgess. She created this deck to expand our notions of gender, and it is incredibly inclusive, right? You see all types and shapes and colors and ways of being in the world, people. It's just beautiful that way. It's just so diverse and inclusive. It is the most inclusive deck that I have come across, because a lot of times, I mean, especially my beloved Rider-Waite-Smith deck, they're not real demonstrative of the real world, right? This deck is, and I find that incredibly beautiful. And comforting, because these are people in here that I can relate to, and that I know are living and breathing and working in the world at the same time that I am, and doing their best, right? And so I just feel like there's this practicality and reality and truth in this deck. So I've actually written to Charlie and told her how much I love this deck. I mean, and it's so funny, because it's not, I'm someone who gets really lost in beautiful, very deeply feminine, divine feminine kind of artwork. That's not this. This is beautiful artwork. It's perfect for what it is. It's absolutely perfect. It's so clear, and inviting, invitational, right? It's not that it's not so beautiful, but I'm really attracted normally to very feminine, I don't know. It's not the typical deck that I would buy. But once I saw it, Oh God, this card, the Star card. I love it so much. That's me. That's so me. Um, it's perfect. I can't explain it. It's becoming like an old friend, and that's what you want in your tarot deck. You want your tarot deck to be an old friend, and we each have different needs in our old friends, right? And so different tarot decks will appeal to us, each of us. But I feel like I just really want to share this deck because it might be what you're looking for too. And it might not be, but it might be. And I really just love it. It's fairly easy to shuffle. It's a little bit big for my hands. It's a thick deck, and it's a little bit big for my hands, but I can do it if I struggle a little bit. So I don't typically, once I do my initial shuffle of the deck by moving it all over, a blank tabletop or sitting down on the floor with it and just mixing it up by hand, I don't worry about shuffling too much. I just shuffle in between each card. I just toss the cards between my hands, and sometimes, I just let them fall to where they want to fall. And when they stop falling, then I pick a card. And then sometimes I just shuffle the cards and pick one. So I thought I would do a reading for us today with these beautiful cards on just how to take care of ourselves right now. How to really show up for ourselves and take such good care of ourselves so that we are able to be a force of good in the world. And I don't mean out there picketing, and if that's your thing, that's wonderful. It's not how I'm effective. I get really overwhelmed in crowds and things like that. It's not effective for me. So we all have to find our way of showing up right now and helping to bring more truth and beauty to the world. And by truth, I don't mean opinion. I mean acknowledging truth. Sometimes the truth is not what we like. It's not what we want. But it's so important to acknowledge the truth. We have had 6-7 years of so much false information, at least. I mean, it's just been really hard. So it's so important that we acknowledge reality and still have our opinions. We can still have our opinions, and we can dislike reality, and we can work to change it into another way if we want to. But it's important to be able to acknowledge it and to be okay with it and to work from there, right? Because if we work from a fantasy world, nothing good will come of that. So one more card for us. Okay. So I'm going to read this intuitively first, and then I'll look at the guidebook just to give you an idea of how beautiful and helpful the guidebook is. So I see someone who is taking a moment to connect to the natural world, to connect to the animal world, a beloved pet or animal friend, and to really just be calm and grounded and free. Love and trust is written on her tattoos, right? And her dog, normally in the Strength card, the human is prying open the mouth of the beast, and the traditional meaning it's all over the place, but I mean, there is something about being able to control your beast, your inner beast, to control your animal nature and to work toward your spiritual nature, right? There's a lot of that kind of talk about it. But for me, this card is about being in symbiosis with the natural world and with the animal world. I had a really important dream about this card many years ago now. And for me, it is so much about my connection my spiritual connection, and just my emotional and physical connection to the natural world and to the animals and birds and insects. Um, I would say I'm basically an animist. I believe that every living thing has a soul, and so I have reverence for every living thing. We don't kill insects in our house. That's just me. So, so this card very much represents that for me. And right now, I think it's saying that there's a more important world to connect to on a daily basis than the daily news, and it is the world right in front of you. Right? It's the natural world. It's the animals in your life. It's the people in your life. It's what's right around you that we can have that grounding connection. And then the Two of Wands, there's a candle with a long wick. It looks like it's sort of tied into a noose. And we have a match, and we have an open window to the infinite night sky. And, and we can choose to use the tools we have, right, to get past the boundaries and the bad things and to focus on the infinite possibilities. That's how I'm seeing it right now. And then we have the world, and we have this wonderful, confident woman standing in this Ouroboros, and we've got all four elements around her. Gosh, it's just beautiful, isn't it? We've got earth and fire and air and water. And she's holding double-ended batons with living roses on them. She's completely free and open. She can step out from any situation and into a new situation. It feels like being a part of the world in a very open but very safe way. Those are just the words that are coming to me right now. Beautiful. So let's take a look at the guidebook. Let's look at strength. I really liked what they said about this card, what Charlie said. The strength of the strength card is not bulging muscles and brute force, nor is it impervious defenses and iron commands. This strength is something else entirely, the strength to be vulnerable. When this card appears, find the courage to face what scares you and do it with an open heart. This strength might manifest as sitting with uncomfortable emotions and painful truths, or opening your heart to that which might hurt you and trusting that it won't. This strength uses gentleness rather than force. Compassion instead of control. Love in the face of hate. Strength says, be strong but soft. Be gentle but don't give up. And when the night is darkest, take comfort in the blazing boldness of your vulnerable heart. For true strength is the courage to meet your fears without weapons, with the radical passion of unguarded flesh and the tender resolve of a scarred heart. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the strength to not be controlled by it. I mean, how beautiful is that? And how timely, really. So let's look at the Two of Wands. I think this is a really remarkable Two of Wands, even if you look at traditional meanings. The Two of Wands is where the Ace's inspiration meets everyday reality. Your newfound interests and ambitions may have you caught up in daydreaming, but dreaming isn't the same as doing. It's time to do the work of planning and foresight, to connect the dots between the big idea and the execution of it. When this card appears, you may be feeling dissatisfied or restricted by your present life and impatient for anything different. Alternately, you might want to break away, but be too afraid to risk losing what you already have. Either way, this card advises you to be smart and intentional about your decisions without getting mired in what-ifs and stalling. Here is an open threshold through which you can step into new possibilities if you choose to. You have what you need to light your way, to discover your path. The first step is lighting that wick. The next is up to you. A dream stays a dream until you do it. So good, right? And then the world. Let's see what it says. I remember this one. It's good. Here we are at the end of the journey. So the world card obviously is the end of the Fool's journey and also the beginning of another one. The world represents ultimate completion and connection. It's transcendence beyond binaries, categorization, and even the self, the soul in union with the universal spirit of all things. In readings, it can signal a feeling of personal or spiritual wholeness, where you are able to exist in greater harmony with your truth. I like that she talks about transcendence beyond binaries, because in its simplest form, I see that as fear or suffering and beauty and joy. They're so opposite in some ways, but they can exist together. And it's so, so important to remember that they exist together, right? It doesn't have to be one or the other. One is always there when the other is there. We have to be able to see both, right? In readings, it can signal a feeling of personal or spiritual wholeness where you are able to exist in greater harmony with your truth. As the major arcana's final card, the world can also represent a cycle culminating or ending. Maybe you're wrapping up a creative project, moving, graduating, or changing careers. Maybe you're getting a divorce or closing some other chapter in your life. The world means that you're ready. You've reached this journey's natural terminus. You've done everything you can, learned everything you can, and you have everything you need to move on. And move on you will, because the world reminds us that every ending is also a beginning. The snake eating its own tail symbolizes infinity and also forms a zero. We exit the world and once again become the fool. A new cycle infinitely begins. And I think right now it's just important to remember that nothing we do is really final. It's just the doorway to something else, right? And nothing is permanent. And so I just think that's a really important concept and truth to remember right now when the world feels so overwhelming and tricky. I think it's a really strong symbol to remember. So 3 beautiful cards. I think I don't think you could pull a card in this deck that wouldn't have some kind of application to how we might all be feeling right now. The other thing is that there's always practical things we can do, I donate to places like World Central Kitchen that are doing such good work all over the world where there's tragedy. They are fulfilling people's most basic needs, people that are otherwise suffering. They are bringing them joy and nourishment through food. And the work they do cannot be underestimated. It is incredible. And so they're really my charity of choice right now. I donate to them whenever I can. I've done fundraisers for them. They are remarkable. So we can all find some way we can give, even if it's $5. It doesn't matter how much. It's that we make the offering, right? So there's just a lot of suffering right now. And it's so important that we ground ourselves and we live in reality, and that we show up to care for ourselves and what is right around us, the people we love, the things around us, the land around us, our home. All of those things, our job, that we do the very best we can right now. That's how we get through. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out with me. I never know if these are helpful or not. I know that not all my viewers are tarot people. I wish they were, because it's been such a helpful tool for me, and it's not what people think it is, It's just such a gift to have cards like this that help us sort of tap into our psyche and to help us work through things. It's just such a great tool and companion. And this deck is just perfect for me right now. All right. All right. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I would love to hear your comments and your questions even. I'm always excited to have exchanges here. It makes it less sort of one way. It makes it more of a two-way street. And that's what I always hope for in everything that I do. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.